Hello and welcome to AirgunWeb.com. My name is Rick Utzler and I'm glad you've chosen to spend some time with us as we take a look at the Benjamin Trail NP. Now we've already looked at its big brother, the Trail NP XL, so it's time that we take a look at this very popular air rifle. It sells for about $230 at Pyramid Air and includes many features currently not available on other air guns. Let's take a good close-up look at this rifle.
Every now and then, a product comes along that really changes things. The Trails series from Benjamin is one such product line. The Benjamin Trail NP starts with an ambidextrous hardwood thumbhole stock. The stock is well balanced and well made with nice checkering on the grip and forearm of the rifle. The Benjamin Trail NP has a shrouded barrel without any open sights. Now, one of the innovations of this rifle is the use of a Weaver-style scope mount rather than the traditional 11mm dovetail. Why didn't anyone else do this sooner? Think of all the scope slippage and frustration that could have been avoided. The rifle also uses the not-so-new nitro piston rather than a standard metal spring. It's smoother, quieter, and easier to shoot due to less recoil. Unlike standard spring guns that use a metal spring, you can leave it cocked and ready to go for long periods of time without damaging the rifle. Benjamin bundles a Centerpoint 3-9x40 AO scope with this rifle. Generally, I'm pretty pleased with the Centerpoint scopes, but this particular scope gave me some issues with distortion and also double vision. This is not typical from what I've found on other Centerpoint scopes, so I'm pretty sure that Crosman would replace this without question if I simply set it in. Also new on this rifle are integrated sling mounts. Finally! Benjamin even includes a sling so that you're ready to go for your next hunting trip. I can only hope that other break barrel manufacturers follow this trend of innovation. This was really a long time coming, much like the integrated Weaver mount was for the scope, and I'm very happy that Benjamin stepped up to the plate to deliver these solutions. The Benjamin Trail uses the standard Crosman trigger, which I absolutely hate. Fortunately, there are options out there for those of us that want to have a better trigger. Be aware, however, that when you modify your gun in any way, you do void your warranty.
Let's talk a little bit about performance. The Benjamin Trail is a very solid performing air rifle. Now, it can't compete with the big Magnum Springers like the RWS 350 Mag, but it shoots faster than, say, the RWS Model 34. Benjamin markets the Trail NP as an up to 800 feet per second air rifle while shooting 14.3 grain pellets. On average, I've found that guns shoot lower than the up to velocities posted on the box. Now, every spring gun or gas ram rifle will have a break-in period in which all the parts begin to shape together and the excess lubricants are burned off. After this break-in period, which will vary from rifle to rifle, most air guns shoot slower than those advertised velocities, sometimes by as much as 20%. If you want to really know what your rifle is doing, then add a chronograph to your list of airgun supplies. They are invaluable when it comes to knowing exactly how fast your airgun is shooting. Now let's look at some numbers for this particular rifle. Starting with our baseline pellet, the RWS Hobbies, which are an 11.9 grain pellet, we had a high of 781 feet per second, a low of 771 feet per second, an average of 776 feet per second, with an extreme spread of only 10 feet per second and a standard deviation of only 3.21 feet per second. Our average foot-pounds of energy was 15.92 foot-pounds. Now, our most accurate pellet turned out to be the H&N Field Target Trophies, which are a little bit heavier than that 14.3 grain mark they had on the box. They're 14.66 grain. Now, they shot a high of 739 feet per second, a low of 731 feet per second, an average of 735 feet per second. Now, the extreme spread with these was only 8 feet per second, and our standard deviation was only 2.91 feet per second. They generated an average of 17.40 foot-pounds. All in all, I was very, very pleased with how close this rifle came to that 800 foot per second mark, it was only about 8.84% slower than the advertised velocities, and that was with a slightly heavier pellet. So that's actually not that bad. Now let's talk about cocking, loading, shooting, and accuracy. The Benjamin Trail NP continues to leverage Crosspin's nitropiston technology. The cocking stroke is very smooth, and loading, as with all brake barrels, is really a breeze. The shooting characteristics of the rifle are very similar to other gas ram rifles. The shot cycle is very quick with little to no vibration, and the rifle is also less hold sensitive than traditional metal spring brake barrels. On the box, Benjamin says that the rifle produces 70% less noise than their competitors' quiet brake barrel rifles. It's important to know that they're not talking about decibels of sound, but rather the perceived amount of noise heard through the shooting cycle. Call it what you will, it's a very quiet air gun, generating only 97 dB. With the lack of secondary noises such as spring vibration, it sounds a lot quieter than it registered on my dB meter. This is a great rifle to use if noise is going to be an issue. Benjamin states on the box that, and I quote, "Best accuracy and performance are achieved at 33 feet and under." Now you and I both know that we're going to be shooting further than 11 yards. In fact, in our tests, we really stretched it this time. We started at 10 yards, went to 20 yards, then shot groups at 50 yards, and we even threw in a few shots at 100 yards using the digital zoom on our camera. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these shot groups. We'll start with the ones at 10 yards, go to 20, 50, and then again those few shots at 100 yards. Let's go ahead and wrap this up. The Benjamin Trail NP is a great offering from Crosspin. It has the feel of a much more expensive rifle, and it comes close to the advertised velocities. The improvements over the Titan GP, for example the shrouded barrel, Weaver scope rail, a better scope, and integrated sling mounts make it worth the extra 50 or 60 bucks in my opinion. Now let's look at the scorecard, starting with the cons. Crossman's trigger continues to be too unrefined for target shooting. As a field trigger, it's fine, but if you want the most accuracy, you're going to have problems with it. The scope's optics were distorted, and it made it hard to squeeze all the potential accuracy that the Benjamin Trail NP may have had. Now let's talk about the pros. It has a very smooth cocking and firing cycle, very consistent velocities. The Weaver scope mount eliminates the pesky scope slippage that we have to deal with on most spring guns, and it's generally pretty accurate even out to 50 yards. So my final word, if you're looking for a .22 caliber spring rifle right in that $200 range, you need to seriously consider the Benjamin Trail NP. The various shortcomings, for example the trigger, can be overcome with third-party upgrades, but do be aware that any changes to the rifle will void your warranty with Crossman. I want to take a moment and thank the folks at Pyramid Air for sending us this rifle and for sponsoring this review. When you're looking for your next air rifle or your next batch of supplies, please point your browser to www.pyramidair.com. They've been a great bunch of folks to work with, and they really do stand behind both their products and their customers. Until next time, this is Rick Utzler with airgunweb.com. Thanks again for spending some time with us today.